the French, in fact, the president then was President Mitterrand. He was a very close friend of Habyarimana, the president who died in the plane crash. Very close. One was like a father figure to the other. So, and he had bought into that kind of politics.
What politics? That the Tutsis are...
The genocide ideology is a politics.
But it's hard to imagine a French president.
It is hard, but with the lessons of history, the French president is no different than any other president, including that one of where they kill people.
Have you spoken to the French president at all?
We have. You mean the one who was
the one that was friends with the president, that the Javier, the one that died in the plane crash?
No, but I met very many senior officials around him and his son, who was also a big figure in politics of France into Africa. It's like they didn't care. They just thought this, I mean, and it happens in the politics even of today. It's like these Africans
the French president
killing
said,
each other. And
the French president said, in this place, these things happen. That was a quote from the French president.
Yeah. Even at the UN, the arguments were there, including the Secretary General then, who said, oh, this is just Hutus killing Tutsis and Tutsis killing Hutus.
They were not looked at as human.
So it's like, no, it's like these are brutal animals, so to speak. They are not human beings. So meaning all of us are like that. So this is what, so the simple, this divide in the mentality, some are inferior, others are superior, and the Africans, the Rwandans at that time, it's like, who cares? Because to prove that, you talked about the radio that was fueling this and
cut down all the trees and
and so
kill the
on.
cockroaches.
There was even a discussion about saying, why can't even this radio be jammed and it stops spreading this hate speech? And it came from the United States. Some people say, that's too much money to. I think they even put a figure to it. It would cost them $250,000 US. So that was too much to save people. So why do they get bothered with that? That shows the dismissive nature of. We are talking about here some human beings killing each other and very brutal people that have known each other, lived with each other, and so on and so forth. But how about those outside, otherwise unrelated, otherwise with the possibility and the capacity to stop that happening, being dismissive about it and say, why should I spend $250,000 to save 1 million people?
To an extent, that's still happening.
You know what that it is still happening.
It's still happening in Congo, but how does it make you and people here feel? How did it make you feel at the time as well?
We feel, we live our lives and as happy as we can. But we never forget the lessons of our history. We've learned a lot, I mean a lot, so that we know how to value life as well. We know what having a life means. I know what being a refugee means. I know what losing a life means, because I have seen it in this genocide. A number of my relatives, very close relatives, were killed. Every family in Rwanda, some of these people you meet, you have discussed, they have lost families. Some of them, the young people you see here, are left alone. They have nobody to look up to as a brother, sister, uncle, aunt. No, they're all gone. So, but we have to live. We have to bring ourselves together and live a life but a life built on lessons learned, and that, in fact, you are there on your own. You are there for yourself. Don't be deceived by these outsiders who come, talking about human rights, freedoms, this, they're bringing things to you, no. There's nobody who can bring you a life. These are just masqueraders. They're just deceiving people. They tell lies. So we have to, based on those lessons, come together ourselves, do what we can for ourselves. And if there are friends, if there are people who are willing to work with us and contribute toward our development, we appreciate, but we know centrally we have to take care of ourselves. Situations like these ones, they break so many people beyond even repair. But few can also be hardened by those lessons. You find a young man or a woman who participated in the fight to liberate our country comes and finds everyone in their family is dead. They still keep their heads high and do the best they can for those who are living, the ones they don't even know.
How did you get your soldiers to not seek revenge?
We managed to do that because it was not just one person thinking like that. The young people, I said, who I was leading at the time, first of all, most of them knew why they were fighting. And there is always a conversation at the time, because if you are fighting a brutality like that one, you can't be the one seen to be doing the same. Otherwise, why did your people die, or why did you fight? So some of them really consciously knew, painful as to where, they knew we needed to be different, act differently. And the politics of it is what bears us out. So, but of course, there will be others, and justifiably so, who want to take it to those who really
Factions within your group that wanted to seek revenge.
Yeah, there are many who did that.
I'm guessing many argued with you. There was many.
But the leadership had to step in. We had to step in and say, look, let's wait. There was no justice system in place operating. Let's wait for the time we have a system in place to try those people who did these things. But you can't take law in your hands. Otherwise, you will create chaos, or maybe we will see the same genocide of other people happening, like our own people were killed. So we are very firm on that. In fact, a number of some of these stories are just terrible. Some of them, we arrested those who got involved in that, pending trial when the system is in place. The others would kill those they thought killed their parents and kill themselves. They wouldn't wait to be arrested, to be taken, to be tried. That's how terrible the situation was.
That's crazy.
Yes.
So essentially, people that find out who murdered their family,
yes,
they'd go, they'd kill them, and then knowing that you tried to build a legal system so even those people you wanted to punish because, hey, you broke the law, so they knew they're going to be punished for it, and they killed themselves.
Yes. A number of cases like that happened. They wouldn't wait to go to be taken to prison. It's like they made a decision. They lost their people. They also don't want to leave anyway, but they would rather punish those who killed their people. There were so many cases like that. That's how terrible the situation was.
Can you take me through your journey walking the streets of Rwanda and when you freed the country? What was it like? What were the people like? What were the sights that you came across?
There was no life to begin with. Everything was literally dead. You would see dead bodies being eaten by dogs, wild dogs, or others just on their own. That was the life. So, in fact, there was a film, I think, shot, I don't know what it changed to, it was sponsored by the UN or by somebody. They called it, the title was Shooting Dogs. Shooting dogs was ridiculing the peacekeepers, because the peacekeepers were here instead of saving people. They started shooting dogs that were eating the corpses of these people when they had been killed, the ones they were supposed to save. So that was the situation. So for me, just even as a human being, I used to avoid certain scenes because, and the reason, even I used to tell my commanders that they should not bring these stories too much to me or to show me the scenes, because there was a case somewhere just before we captured the Kigali. There was, many people were killed, and then these genociders brought caterpillars, and they dug a big hole, and they were powering, caterpillars were just pushing people they had killed into this dump, there were about 3,000 bodies they had been pushing into that. But our soldiers reached the place and they found people who had been injured but not completely dead, about 14 of them. They brought them out from the dead bodies.
They were in the grave, in the mass grave, there were people alive.
In the mass grave, yes. And so one of the commanders asked me to come and see what was going on. In fact, it was very fresh. It had just happened. The soldiers arrived maybe like 20 minutes or even 15 when they had finished doing that.
The massacre?
The massacre.
So you came 20 minutes after a massacre was done?
Yeah, yes.
So you could have saved thousands of people if you managed to somehow.
Yeah, absolutely. But only managed to save 14 who were also injured and were lying in the dead bodies, but still alive, and they brought them out. So as I went there and I saw what was going on, so I told my commanders never to call me again or tell me these stories. They should rather do what is right to do and keep it to themselves. And I told them the reasons. I said, I can't keep seeing such scenes on a regular basis and make rational decisions that I should be making. So I need, even as a human being, to just save myself from being exposed to this constantly, because it would impair my judgment in the conduct of the war. So I'm just giving you this a measure of how I had to manage the situation, even about myself. And I avoided being exposed to some of those things, just not wanting to be influenced or made angry, and to remain sober so that I do the right thing at least.
So you don't let emotion overwhelm you and then potentially take you down a darker path.
I wanted to avoid that, yes.
I remember also a call that you received from your cousin, hopefully I get the story right, while you were going into Kagame, I think it was, and she was calling you, telling you like the genocidal troops are coming to her. And so you sent some troops to go try to help her and the people there. And before they got there, she called you. She's like, "There's no point anymore to support us."
Mm-hmm.
And I'm guessing she was killed.
Yes, she was killed with 9 other people, the same family in the room. And I had days earlier, maybe weeks, I had communicated with the UN peacekeepers here, gave them the address, the location where these people are, and said, and these people used to work for the UN.
The cousin?
Yeah.
Your cousin that was killed worked for the UN?
Yeah, she was called Florence. She had worked for UN for 17 years.
And they let her?
Yes.
What did they say to you on the phone, the UN?
No, I used to tell them to go, and you say, yeah, they are going to try. Later on, when I met one of the commanders, he told me, he said, we went there and found the roadblocks around the house. I said, you fellows with tanks, with APCs, you go and find militias and run away and don't save people? I thought that was the lowest point for anybody's integrity or respect.
So,
in fact, the man who was responsible for the killings of that one, I'm told he's now arrested in Belgium. He was arrested recently.
The UN member that didn't go to save your family?
No. The actual person who was leading a group that went and killed.
He was also arrested. So there's a lot of these guys are still alive in the FDLR.
They are very much alive. Some of them were in their 20s, 30s, you can imagine. So they are in their 60s.
I know that even this president, the one that had the plane shot down, and there's the relatives of other politicians that led this genocide and planned it, they're living in different European countries as well. Some were arrested, some were not.
Some are in US, Canada, Europe, they are there.
Is there efforts to try to get those people arrested right now?
We have tried everything with this government. This is why I was saying human beings are... human beings in one place you're talking about, but there's also human beings in different places that behave differently. The whole of Europe, you go to Canada, you go to United States, these people are there. And there are case files that have been sent to these countries about these people. And they have just...
Why?
I can't tell.
You don't know why.
When you have a chance and you can ask those people, you ask them for me, why? There is a case, for example, that is in the UK that has been there for maybe last 15 years or so, maybe more. 5 people who actually got involved in genocide here. Somehow they found their way into UK. We started, people developed case files, begged the UK to bring them to, or to send them to Arusha in Tanzania for the UN tribunal to try them. Nothing was done for those years. And we even begged the UK, we said, okay, why don't you try them yourselves? If you don't want to give them to Rwanda because you suspect whatever, that's fine. If you think the justice system isn't working or politics will get involved. Said, but you have them in the UK. These are their files. Why don't you try them in your courts? Find them innocent and release them. But if you find them guilty, then it's up to you to decide what to do with them. Not up to now. Those cases have not been tried. We have talked to different leaders and administrations in UK about this. Nothing. It is the same.